Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome on the 7:30 on Labeltv. Today, Tuesday, December 26, 2017. Before getting started, here are the headlines.
Emir Sheikh Tatem bin Hamad was in Ghana for a two-day visit where he met the Ghanaian president Nana Akufo-Addo, held official talks at the presidential palace in Accra. Tatem bin Hamad Al Thani is there to expand economic ties as Qatar remains under a blockade by 4 Arab countries. Also in this edition, Tunisia tried to smooth out merging tensions with the United Arab Emirates on Monday after Emirates Airline barred Tunisian women from boarding its flights, and the North African country responded by suspending the Dubai-based carrier's operation in the air and on the ground.
We start this edition with the French President Emmanuel Macron, who visited Niger, who dined with soldiers stationed in Niger who are fighting against extremism in the Sahel, reassuring them that France will not abandon the region to extremists. Commentary by Evan Bala.
The Sahel is a priority. It's that which plays a part in the future of the African continent, but equally and without doubt a part of our future. We must not leave the Sahel in the hands of terrorists, he said late Friday amid 500 soldiers with operation backing at Niger's airport in Niamey, the capital. In a show of support for French troops based in Niger and in the festive spirit of Christmas, Macron brought with him the chef from the Élysée presidential palace who oversaw a meal for the French troops in addition to American, Canadian and German forces. The young French president supported the newly formed G5 Sahel force that will work alongside the operation and is made up of African soldiers from Chad, Niger, Nigeria, Mali and Burkina Faso. During his visit, Emmanuel Macron is expected to discuss the implementation by mid-2018 of this force of 5,000 men composed of soldiers from the 5 countries involved who recently conducted a first operation in the zone of the 3 borders between Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso. Macron thanked the soldiers for their dedication and paid tribute to those who have fallen. He was also expected to hold bilateral talks with President Mahamadou Issoufou to discuss migrant trafficking and development projects, among other things. On the other side, Paris has pledged 400 million euros for the development of Niger over the 2018-2021 period, some of which in the form of projects led by the French Development Agency, FDA. Some of them aim to support the will of President Issoufou to send more girls to school. Niger is at the forefront of migratory routes in the Sahel, particularly in the region of Agadez in the north.
From Niger to Liberia, the day has probably finally come where hundreds of Liberians woke up as early as 5 a.m. this morning on Tuesday, December 26, 2017, to rush to their respective voting centers around the country. The D-Day is here. The Liberians anxiously queue to vote for a president, a vote which opposed the world football star George Weah of the Coalition for Democratic Change and the current Liberian vice president of the ruling Unity Party, UP, Joseph Bokai. Watch the reports. Liberia went to the polls on Tuesday for a presidential election that voters hope will mark the country's first democratic transfer of power in over 7 decades, despite it being tarnished by allegations of fraud. In fact, George Weah and Joseph Bokai campaigned to replace Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who quit the country following years of civil war, and for the first time in more than 70 years, the West African nation founded by freed American slaves will see one democratically elected government hand power to another. In nearly 2.2 million voters will choose between George Weah, 41 years old former AC Milan striker who is now a senator, and 73-year-old Joseph Bokai, who has been vice president for 12 years. A total of 5,390 polling stations across the country opened their doors for 2.2 billion registered voters at AGMT. Both Weah, the candidate for the Congress for Democratic Change, and Bokai of the Unity Party have promised to revive Liberia's struggling economy and kickstart infrastructure project. The two ranked first and second respectively in October 10th first round, where Weah won 38.8% and Bokai 28.8%, but neither secured the 50% needed to win outright. Both presidential contenders in much anticipated runoff election are optimistic of a big win over their opponent in an exclusive interview with reporters in Monrovia. On the other hand, supporters of the presidential candidate of the Coalition for Democratic Change, Senator George Mane, also said that hopefully, and their candidate capturing the presidency, stressing that West's effort to putting Liberia on the international map for his professional skills and leadership ability gave him the edge over his opponent. Today's runoff election in Liberia has drawn the attention of the international community, making sure that the election observers from around the globe are properly seated here to urgently observe today's election.
The year 2017 has been the year for presidential election in our continent and in Africa. The 2017 has been crucial to a number of head of states leading their country for decades. The Gambian Yaya Jammeh opened the ball in January 2017. Then the Angola Eduardo dos Santos and the Zimbabwean Robert Mugabe followed suit. Everyone is gone, not without pain, and only dos Santos can be proud of a departure by the big door. Jabjina Mpiga has the story.
This 2017 has been fatal to a number of African presidents that were leading their countries for decades. We have presidents such as Yaya Jammeh that led Ghana with an iron fist for 22 years, and in 2016 he lost the presidential election to a single candidate of opposition. Ever since January 21st, 2017, he was forced into exile in Equatorial Guinea. We now move to Jose Eduardo dos Santos, who ruled Angola for 38 years and, according to social media, was better organized than Yaya Jammeh. Dos Santos is 74 years old and has been sick for many years. He gave his hand to his party's candidate, Joao Lorenzo, who won the presidential election of August 23, 2017, and in return, Dos Santos had a royal retreat, a total immunity, and the presidency of the party in power. Nevertheless, we now move to Robert Mugabe, the ex-president of Zimbabwe, who ruled for 37 years and wanted to impose his wife as a successor, which triggered a storm that won. Mugabe presented his resignation letter and was forced out of power on November 21st, 2017.
We led presidential election on one side to talk about economic ties between partnership in the continent. The Republic of Ghana and the states of Qatar have signed economic development partnership agreements and memorandum of understanding target at the aviation industry and the health and sport development in Ghana. More in these elements.
And the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, supervised the signing of 2 agreements and 2 memorandum of understanding after holding bilateral talks at the Pedwes Lodge in the eastern region of Ghana. The Emir of Qatar is in Ghana as part of his tour of 6 West African countries. Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani is there to expand economic ties as Qatar remains under blockade by 4 Arab countries. The Emir visit comes after a number of world leaders visited key African countries, pledging political and economic support. For his part, President Akufo-Addo and Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani hold bilateral talks at the Pedwes Lodge in Abu Dhabi on Sunday, December 24th, then supervised the signing of 5 memorandum of understanding between Ghana and Qatar. The official meeting agreement signing ceremony and banquet were attended by members of the delegation accompanying the Emir, as well as a number of ministers and senior officials from Ghana. Earlier arrival at Kotoka International Airport, an official welcoming ceremony was held for the Emir, where the Qatari and Ghanaian national anthem were played. The two sides also discussed the overall regional and international development, especially the most important issue in the Middle East and the African continent. The meeting was attended by Their Excellencies member of the official delegation accompanying the Emir, as well as a number of Their Excellencies, minister and senior officials from Ghana. Both sides witnessed the signing of the agreement on encouraging and protecting investment and air service.
From Ghana to Zimbabwe, where the President Emmerson Mnangagwa appointed retired Army boss Constantino Chiwenga and veteran politician Kembo Mohadi as the ruling party's vice president, a spokesperson said on Saturday. Listen to the details given by Evan Bala.
Officials said that the appointments paved the way for the two to ascend to similar positions in government. Mnangagwa, who took over last month from 93-year-old Robert Mugabe, after the intervention of the military, is under pressure from opposition parties and the public to implement political reforms. Under Mugabe's 37-year rule, political space was limited, with the latter part of his reign marked by the emergence of the ZANU-PF faction aligned to his wife Grace that threatened to usurp the army's central role in government. Chiwenga, who retired from the army last month, is the latest in a string of senior military figures appointed by Magangwa to important political posts. Presidential spokesman George Charamba said Chiwenga and Mohadi's appointments as vice presidents of the country could only be made by the chief secretary to the government and cabinet, Mishek Sibenda, who is out of the country.
Tunisia has banned Emirates Airline from landing in the capital Tunis after a number of Tunisian women were prevented for boarding its flight. The move comes amid widespread anger in Tunisia, with right groups condemning racist and discriminatory measures. Get the story.
A row between Tunisia and the United Arab Emirates was triggered by fears of terrorist attacks. Tunisia says since Friday, Tunisian women have reported being banned from Emirates flight to the UAE. In response, Tunisia suspended Emirates airline flight from landing in Tunis. The Tunisian official said UAE authorities have received serious security information about the possibility of terrorist attack by female Tunisian passport holders. A spokesman for the Tunisian presidency, Sada Garash, said that the UAE carrier Emirate has received clear instruction to deny Tunisian women access to its plane. She said that the information indicated that with jihadists returning from Syria and Iraq, there was a possibility of terrorist attack involving either Tunisian women or women carrying a Tunisian passport. For its part, the United Arab Emirates said on Sunday that security information had caused a delay on Tunisian women from boarding flight to the country that caused an outcry in their home country. We contacted our Tunisian brother about security information that necessitating taking specific procedure. UAE Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Anwar Garaj said on his Twitter account this morning, "We should avoid misleading attempts. We highly value Tunisian women and respect them." As he added, without elaborating, a number of Tunisian women said in the recent day that their travel on UAE airline via the Abu Dhabi and Dubai hubs had been delayed, and some had no undergo additional examination of their visas. Till today, no UAE has responded to this matter.
A word in culture now, and a title a little bit where it can be honed. I'm Not a Witch, a fable about the witches of Zambia, is the first feature film by the Zambian filmmaker Wagano Nyoni, who tells a story between irony and fairy tale, and also narrates as the story of a girl accused of sorcery and sent to a camp. More details given by Georgina Mpiga.
I Am Not a Witch is a fable about the witches of Zambia. Zambian 35-year-old filmmaker Ugano Nyoni wanted her film to talk about the difficulty of breaking the rules, as absurd and ridiculous as they are. The main character, Little Shula, also known as Margaret Mulambwa, is 9 years old and is accused by a villager of having cast a spell upon her. She is sent to a state-run witch camp and a local monarch in this tale, where a child then has the choice to stay or to live at the risk of being transformed into a goat. Rangano Nyoyi was raised in Wales and took interest in witch camps that exist in Zambia and Ghana. Women have been accused of witchcraft under various pretexts. The most absurd story that Rangano Nyoyi heard is that of a woman who fell while fetching water and who accused another of having cast a spell upon her.
Shula, how are you settling into your new life?
Our entrepreneur of the week is named Vidal Kemoe. Initially a sniper in the British Army, his passion became a shoemaker in Douala in Cameroon. The 29 years old is handmaking 100% Cameroonian shoes, who set his goal very clear: there's nothing less, no better than to wear Africa. Watch the reports.
Vidal Kimowe's love for shoes goes back to his childhood. Then the passion is affirmed when he integrates in 2011 after more than 10 years spent in England, the army of His Gracious Majesty, who recruits young volunteers from the Commonwealth country. We had an obligation to always be well-dressed, well-shod, with boots always well-polished, he remembers, visiting his workshop where pairs of shoes are lined up next to each other. In the army, it was the infantry sniper, as he explained when asked. Back from his mission in Italy, Germany, or Afghanistan, soldiers are entitled to 3 months of rest and recuperation. During this period, they have the opportunity to invest in action that have nothing to do with military activities. Some return to school to acquire diplomas, others turn to breeding, cooking, psychology, photography, and so on. About his passion, Vidal knows how to choose, cut, polish, to make beautiful shoes. In Douala, the finesse of his finishes earned him a nickname, Vidal the Master Bootmaker. He has launched his own brand and is trying to sell his product in a highly competitive environment, a sector that is often poorly known. I wish that being wearing my creation, each customer remembered that his shoes was made for him, that he felt that I put time, passion, and a lot of emotion, as he said. At the time of large-scale production, it is legitimate to wonder if the job of shoemaker fed his man. In the face of competition, Vidal has chosen to have a clientele to the size of its offer. Thus, big names like the Cameroon footballer and legend player Samuel Eto'o or diplomats, general managers are registered in his sales book. He also put in light that his ambition is to line all Africa, even Europe and the United States. As a reminder, the price of a pair of shoes by Vidal shoes range from 15,000 to 200,000 CFA francs, and many of his clients are based in France, Germany, Switzerland, and the United States. Says Vidal Kimowe, this was extraordinary looks like.
A word in sports to end this edition, where presently in Europe there is a transfer window opening and many African players are not in club, but due to their experience and also great talent, some could win a contract in January 2018. Let's have a look at some of these talented African players.
Sébastien Bassong, the French-born Cameroonian defender, is looking for a new employer. The 31-year-old last played for English side Norwich City until 2nd of May 2017, when he was among 7 players to be released by Norwich after the 2016-17 championship season. He has previously played for Newcastle, Tottenham, Wolverhampton and Watford. Sule Montari, a former left-back, Montari has over time morphed into a powerful, experienced, hard-working and tenacious midfielder. The 33-year-old Ghanaian has had successful stints with Italian clubs Inter Milan and AC Milan. He is currently on free agent after he left a Serie A match against Cagliari when his complaints of racist abuse were met with a yellow card on 30th April 2017. Cedric Mongongu, the 28-year-old Congolese footballer, has previously made 92 appearances for French side Monaco. But since leaving Evian TG in 2016, the Leopard has struggled to find a stable situation. Jean-Daniel Akpa Akpro. At 25 years, the versatile and experienced Ivorian international is on free agent. In the French Championship, he has already played 132 games with Toulouse. Frédéric Boulon, an injury and a conflict with his former French club Stade de Reims have altered the career of this elegant Gabonese midfielder. Aged 27, the Gabonese aspires to settle down soon after having been a...
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for choosing Label Television to inform you. We just highlight the news on our continent. Before, please stay tuned for the upcoming news in French. I'll be pleased to be back tomorrow, same place, same channel, same hours. Good night, and keep watching our program on your Pan-African channel. Good night.